up, Internet, and welcome back to On the Sofa Live. If you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. Okay, quite a lot to get through this evening. So let's get straight into it. Right. So, this article is from the Metro by This article is from the Metro. Raise the Colours member accused of making indecent images of children. Ben Cullen, a member of Raise the Colours Oxfordshire, is due to appear in court. And there's a picture of him there, holding up the Union Jack with Unite the Kingdom printed on it. A man belonging to a flag activist group is due to appear in court after being accused of making indecent images of children. Ben Cullen from Wallingford has been charged with 3 counts of making indecent images. The 45-year-old is said to have made 22 indecent Category A photographs, including 1 moving image. The offence allegedly took place in Wallingford on March 25th, 2021. He is also accused of making 36 indecent Category B pseudo-photographs of children and 20 Category C images on the same date, the Oxford Mail reports. But I thought this was all about protecting women and girls. I thought that this was all about protecting them. But it doesn't seem to be the case. But I thought this was all about protecting women and girls. But this guy isn't protecting... Sorry, I'll start that whole sentence again. Sorry. But I thought this was all about protecting women and girls. But this particular... if I can get the words out, Christ. I thought this was supposed to be protecting about women and girls. But Ben Cullen isn't protecting girls, is he? Well, at least he doesn't seem to be. Actually, I'll word that differently. I thought this was supposed to be protecting women and girls. But Ben Cullen is being accused of harming young girls. It doesn't look good, does it? It's not a good look. A pseudo-photograph is an image created using AI or graphics tools, and even if the original picture was not of a real person, it falls under the law. Cullen is due to appear at Reading Crown Court tomorrow, Wednesday. Cullen is said to be leading figure in Raise the Colours Oxfordshire branch. The grassroots movement gained traction last year for hanging flags in the wake of anti-immigration protests across the UK. So where are the protests about this guy? Why aren't there riots on the streets protesting about Cullen? Where are the protests about him? I haven't seen any yet. If you have, let me know. The wider Raise the Colours group appears to have distanced itself from Cullen following the allegations. It said in a statement on social media, Raise the Colours wishes to make clear that we were not aware and have never previously been aware of the allegations reported concerning Ben Cullen, Raise the Colours Oxfordshire. This is the first time we have learnt of the matter. The Post said Cullen was not affiliated with Raise the Colours and that sometimes members of the movement may have put flags up with him, but this does not mean he represented, was part of, or was affiliated with the movement. It continued, "We take allegations of this nature extremely seriously. As this is now a matter before the courts, it would not be appropriate for us to comment further on the specifics of the case." And I'll let you guys at home be the judge of whether or not he was affiliated with Raise the Colours. I'll let I'll let you guys be the judge of that. You know, you can make of that what you like. Oxfordshire County Council took measures to stop flag raising on lampposts and roadsides. The council won a High Court injunction last week against Cullen, Kevin Good, Ryan Bridge, Trudy Wells, and any individuals trying to hang flags on public structures or harassing staff removing them. It comes after locals from Adderbury to Wallingford had complained about safety risks, intimidation and distress linked to illegal placement of flags. Councillor Tim Bearder, the leader of the county council, commented on the High Court decision, "We're pleased with this result. The injunction helps protect our residents and our workforce and supports our responsibility to keep the highway safe. This is not and never has been about the flag. We proudly fly the Union flag and St George's flag at County Hall, and we fully support the right of residents to display their own flags, including to show their support for the England football team. However, the behaviour we've seen from Raise the Colours is nothing to do with national pride or the support of the England team during the World Cup. It's unlawful behaviour which has put people at risk and caused fear within our communities for almost a year." Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. That's a sensible statement, in my opinion. And we've got the official statement from Raise the Colours here. Raise the Colours wishes to make clear that we were not aware and have never previously been aware of the allegations reported concerning Ben Cullen, Raise the Colours, Oxfordshire. This is the first time we have learned of the matter. Ben Cullen, Raise the Colours, Oxfordshire, was not affiliated with Raise the Colours. From time to time, members of the movement may have been present at the same flag-raising activities as him, or may have put up flags alongside him, but this does not mean he represented, was part of, or was affiliated with Raise the Colours. Yeah, they're really doing all they can to distance themselves from this guy, aren't they? They really don't want to be associated with him. We make efforts, where reasonably possible, to ensure that people who attend or support flag-raising activities do so in good faith. However, Raise the Colours is a broad public movement, and we cannot be responsible or accountable for the private actions, conduct, or alleged conduct of individuals who may attend, support, or appear at public activities. We take allegations of this nature extremely seriously. As this is now a matter before the courts, it would not be appropriate for us to comment further on the specifics of the case. Raise the Colours remains focused on its aims and activities, and we will continue to act responsibly. And H. Place Bano, who posted this, commented, yeah, I call BS on this one. And it looks like he has been photographed with a few other Raise the Colours activists. There's some photos here. Andy the Pirate said, don't they extrapolate the actions of one selected individual and assume that everyone else in that group of people are exactly the same? To which H plays piano. H plays piano. Oh my days. So look, so it's a warm evening, all right. H plays piano said, oh yes, good point there. Noel Sarge. I'm really butchering names this evening. Noel Sarge said, did they put out a statement about this as well? Raise the Colours founder charged with murder. Billy Allison, a founding member of Raise the Colours, has been charged with murder. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't actually know about that. And Bad Rabbit Design said, so Raise the Colours has no connection to Raise the Colours, Oxfordshire. Their names are merely coincidence, and photos of the two groups apparently in the same space at the same time are also coincidence, as in the fact that the Venn diagram of your values overlap so obviously. Yes, that's another good point. But to be fair, just because one person, in this case Ben Cullen, has been found with indecent images of young people, it doesn't mean that all participants in Raise the Colours activities are like that. I think that's fair to say, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Okay. Whew. Oh, it's really, I mean, it's not as hot as it was last week, but still, it's quite warm. And I've got the window closed as well, because last week when I had the window open, there was a lot of traffic sounds. So I didn't want to have that again this week. So I've kept the window closed, but it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Let's move on to the next segment. Hang on. Let's see what's next. That would help. Let's consult my list. That'll help me stay on track. So, oh yes. Okay. This next story is from Novara Media. Palantir gets massive UK tax breaks on profits made from public money. The spy tech firm pays around 5%, well below the norm of 25%, by Joshua Cowell. Palantir, the US spy tech firm accused of abetting Israel's genocide in Gaza, enjoys lavish tax breaks on UK profits that are already derived from taxpayers' money, an analysis by Open Democracy has found. The company has been awarded at least £670 million in UK public contracts in recent years. That includes a £330 million deal to manage sensitive NHS data, signed despite the fact Palantir's co-founder Peter Thiel has expressed disdain for publicly funded healthcare. Those contracts have helped make UK Palantir's second largest market by revenue, with 2024 pre-tax profits of £25.3 million. But its effective UK tax rate that year was only £2 million, or 8%, far lower than the norm of 25% paid by firms with profits above £250,000. In 2023, it was even less, at 4.7%, and in 2022, it was 4.2%. For 2025, Companies House filings suggest Palantir paid less than £820,000 in cash tax in the UK, less than it paid in Korea, Japan, France, and Germany. This is really dodgy. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with this, especially since they're in support of Israel. Something really needs to be done about this. They shouldn't be anywhere near the NHS either, in my opinion. They should, they shouldn't be. So I'm struggling tonight, aren't I? Christ. Oh my days. They shouldn't be anywhere near the NHS. All the contracts that they have with the NHS should be revoked, in my opinion. The low rate was due a structured arrangement that limits the amount of profits recognised in the UK, as well as a rule that awards large tax breaks to firms that compensate their employees with stock instead of cash, Open Democracy reported. The report said the nature of filings made it difficult to assess the total amount of tax breaks Palantir has received, but by 2022 alone, it had accumulated £230 million in tax relief from what it called employee share acquisition relief. When profitable companies are paying very little tax, especially when much of their revenues derive from taxpayers' money itself, then it's important to ask why. Mike Lewis, director of Tax Watch, told Open Democracy, "It is because tax incentives and tax breaks," and I'll start that sentence again. Is it because tax incentives and tax breaks are poorly targeted? Or is it because companies are shifting profits in ways that our tax system is supposed to counteract? That is a very good question. A very good question. Yeah, Palantir are very dodgy, and I've made videos about them in the past. So do check those videos out. And in my opinion, they shouldn't be anywhere near our NHS. And they certainly should be made to pay their full taxes. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Okay. Moving on. What have we got next? Oh, I've got to show. There's something I want to talk about. God, I'm having a great time this evening, aren't I? I wanted to show you guys this. This is Cody Dalla explaining about Palantir. This is Cody Dalla explaining who Palantir is.
Personal data, they look like Peter Andre from the Mysterious Girl music video.
Mysterious girl.
But you don't don't want to look like a thicky dum-dum in front of all your mates. Here's a quick rundown before they enslave/kill you. Palantir is a US spy tech company that uses data analytics to do things like murder innocent people in Gaza and facilitate Donald Trump's ICE operations that murder innocent people in America. Yesterday, Palantir's CEO, Evil Art Garfunkel Alex Karp, published a 22-point post on X saying that American culture was superior to all others, and that Palantir is committed to building autonomous weapons to use as the hard power that democratic societies need to survive. Which is a bit like what he wrote in his book last year, where he said that technology companies should stop building things like photo sharing apps and instead collaborate with governments to ensure the West's dominant position in the geopolitical order. Palantir's other boss, tech billionaire and Trump supporter Peter Thiel, what Mr. Muscle would look like if he drank the fucking bleach he was advertising, also wrote in a book last year that democracy and freedom are incompatible. And if you thought Palantir couldn't sound any more evil, their UK boss is a man called Lewis Mosley, who is Oswald Mosley's grandson. The Oswald Mosley who founded the British Union of Fascists in 1932. Otherwise known as the Black Shirts, which is something Oswald Mosley's grandson definitely doesn't wear. But why am I bringing all this up? Well, in 2023, the UK government awarded Palantir a £330 million contract to build the NHS this thing called a federated data platform. This federated data platform was meant to help the NHS cut waiting lists by linking everyone's medical data together. Medical data that Palantir now has total access to and could use to create a UK version of ICE to track people down and deport them, which is something that Reform UK have said they want to do in a policy paper published in 2025 called Operation Restoring Justice. Look at that plain logo, the sad pricks. Now, obviously, Palantir have said this is all absolutely ridiculous and something they would never do, even though it's something they've literally done. So basically, Palantir have said anyone who opposes them and thinks they're trying to steal all of our data to dominate us is just a shrill ideologue. Even though in 2024, the UK government awarded Palantir a contract to monitor our police force, in 2025 awarded Palantir a contract to monitor the data in our military, and just last month awarded Palantir a contract that gives them access to terabytes worth of our financial information. Don't worry, they're not spying on you. That's why Palantir is named after the all-seeing fucking orb from Lord of the Rings. Now, you might be wondering how such an evil company has been awarded all of these contracts. Well, it turns out the people advising the UK government on the use of AI are from a think tank owned by everyone's favourite ghoul, Tony Blair. But don't worry, Ghoul Boy doesn't have a vested interest in ensuring Palantir's contracts are awarded by the UK government. It's not like his son Ewan has a contract training NHS staff how to use Palantir's software. Oh no, he does. Never mind. What we're witnessing in the UK isn't even a covert takeover of our public services by an American company that's literally spelled out that it wants to dominate the entire world. The UK government needs to get a fucking grip because we're about to become a colony of American tech. So you don't really know what Palantir is and why they're bathing.
Yes. So that was Cody Darla on Palantir. Now you're fully up to date about who they are and what they're about. So on to the next segment. Let's crack on. Right. This is good. There we go. Marina Perkis from the podcast, sorry, the brain fog for a second. Marina Perkis from the podcast The Troll posted this on X. Dear Farage fans, if he's willing to say up the rah for £86, what do you reckon he'll do for 5 million? Well, it appears we're finding out. Let's play the clip.
I would just ask everyone watching this, this is a man who does Cameo in his spare time, where he goes on, he gets paid 86 quid to say birthday greetings and whatever. He said up the rah for £86. What do you think he's willing to do for £5 million? And people don't give. He's not this guy. This
He didn't know he was saying
Christopher
up the IRA,
Harborne.
did he?
Christopher Harborne is not his dad. It is not inheritance. They're not friends. The idea
They
that
are
this
friends.
is okay. The
How do you
idea
know they are friends?
Fine. Let's give them that. They're friends. My friends don't give me £5 million.
Well, you're just flailing around.
No, I'm not
statements
flailing
which are
around.
not true.
Okay, I'm not. Okay.
Let's just be very clear, because that's
been
litigious to say they're not
Well,
friends.
well
Okay,
it's
not
not actually.
litigious.
It's
Okay.
libelous, but-
Right, so let's say they're friends. He has now been referred to the financial regulator because he has been, I've heard him on LBC talking about, he's an ambassador for this kind of crypto, this tether, this coin. And that is something that Christopher Harborne is very closely linked to. He has also, I think, reportedly had a meeting with the Bank of England to try and block some legislation that would again benefit.
Christopher Harborne gives him $5 million and he promotes cryptocurrency.
Incredible coincidence, don't you think? That all of a sudden he's got this £5 million.
Does it matter?
100% it matters, because what we see, and this is not just reform, this is Tory, it is across the pond in America. Politicians become corrupted and they end up working for the people who pay for them, and we need to avoid that at all costs.
Are we in danger of...
Marina Perkins there making some brilliant points. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. She always comes with receipts. Let's see some of the comments. Robespierre said, exactly. chrisgretch.bsky.social said, absolutely, well said, Marina. Eth era Sregna Ho posted this meme with the caption, idolizing Nigel Farage is like believing that the stripper really likes you. And Durzo has posted the clip that she was talking about, or rather the news clip of him being called out about it. Let's have a look.
Apologise for the birthday greeting which you delivered.
A question. Why did you fight the British? Why did Irish nationalists fight the British for 500 years? 500 often very bloody, difficult years until the 1920s. What was the point of it if you're now governed by European commissioners?
I think people will be entertained, Nigel, to hear you talking about this.
And that may be too inconvenient for all of you in Dublin. Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, it's such a patronising bastard.
I know that you apologise for the birthday greeting which you delivered in the last couple of days, but I want people to see just how much you know about the history and culture on this island.
Now, it's a bit early in the day, so all I've got actually is coffee, but I hope you enjoy a few pints with the lads tonight. Up the Ra.
His face.
Up the Ra, Nigel. I mean, I know that you said sorry. I know you get 87 quid. It's entirely within your rights to do that. But come on, don't try and lecture the Irish people about the culture and history and precarious nature of peace on this island. You haven't got a clue.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. And that's a fair point that Marina made. If he's willing to say up the Ra for £86, how, what do you think he's going to do for £5 million? It's a very good point. Graham Bandaria said, damaged goods can never be repaired. He's absolutely finished. Benjamin Butterworth said, what a good point. Truck Puncher said, Jeremy Vine, does it matter? What a fucking cretin. Does it matter that the prick lied about Brexit, has clear financial links to criminals? Elon Musk, Putin took 5 million quid from an overseas billionaire. What do you think, the Jeremy Vine, you fucking moron? Trader SZ said this. Sean Adams said, what are they willing to say about the North Sea and our net zero targets for 24 million? And he's put a clip to a news story with the headline, Reforms £24 million from fossil fuel interests. That's another good point. That could be why Nigel Farage and Reform are dead against net zero, because they're taking money from fossil fuel, from companies with fossil fuel interests. That's another good point. Peter said, as much as I dislike Nigel, frankly, we in the UK have some of the worst regulation around cryptocurrencies in the world. If it takes a crypto billionaire £5 million to change that, then so be it. Lobby away, people. Not sure if I agree with that, but okay. The Reverend Anton Mittens said, well said, Farage's clock is ticking. And Neil Merriman said, next time you're on, you need to point out to Jeremy Vine that if you're a British man in your 60s who's been involved in politics for over 30 years and you don't know up the Ra means up the IRA, then you should be nowhere near holding real power. And that's another good point as well. Nigel Farage, he's not a man of the people. He doesn't care about me or you. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. He only cares about making money for himself and enriching his cronies. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, I think we're doing a bit better. I think we had a bit of a shaky start. But I think we're doing well. I think we're doing well now, which is good. Okay, moving on. Next segment. This next story is from the HuffPost by Kevin Schofield. Piers Morgan says Nigel Farage is dead in the water and will have to quit as Reform leader. The broadcaster said the right-wing party is now in real trouble. And there's a photo of Farage there with a few others. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage walked through the House of Commons to attend the state opening of Parliament at the Palace of Westminster, London, Wednesday, May the 13th, 2026. Nigel Farage is dead in the water and will have to quit as Reform UK leader, according to Piers Morgan. The broadcaster said Farage is rattled by questions about the £5 million he accepted from a Thailand-based crypto billionaire and did not publicly declare. The reform boss has insisted the money, which he received months before becoming an MP in 2024, was a gift, which he would spend on his personal security. He has also described it as a reward for campaigning for Brexit, and last week even suggested he could spend it on Ferraris. Spend it on Ferraris, yeah, real man of the people. What a dickhead. Parliament's sleaze watchdog has launched an investigation into the issue, which is expected to report back soon and could see Farage suspended from the Commons if he is found to have broken rules on the declaration of donations. On the BBC Sunday with Laura Kuenssberg show, Morgan said Farage's failure to shut down the row meant time was now running out for him. He said, Nigel Farage, I think, is dead in the water. And I really hate to agree with Piers Morgan, but I think he's right, at least on this issue. I think Nigel Farage is dead in the water. I think it's only a matter of time now before he's going to have to resign as leader of the Reform Party, because this story is not going to go away anytime soon. This story is not going anywhere, and it's going to be a distraction from the message that they want to get out to their potential voters. So Nigel Farage, I think, is going to have no choice but to stand down. And the thing is, this could really damage Reform because, let's face it, Reform is Nigel Farage, and Nigel Farage is Reform. Without Nigel Farage, Reform could well be dead in the water as well, paving the way for Restore Britain to take over. But we'll have to see how that goes. The article goes on. I think this 5 million bung he took from this crypto tycoon in Thailand, he still can't get his story straight about why. Originally, it was about security. Then it was a reward for Brexit. Now he says it was just a gift and he can spend it on Ferraris, like all men of the people would say. You can see how rattled he is by the questions he's getting, and they're not going to go away. He added, Reform, I think, are in real trouble. I think their leader's going to have to go. In a car crash BBC interview last week, Farage insisted that no one cares about his £5 million gift. He said, let's be clear, it's a personal gift. I can spend it on cars if I want to. It's entirely up to me. But there is a specific reason for this. I have been physically the most attacked and endangered politician for now well over a decade. But the thing is, he seemed to be suggesting in that interview on BBC Breakfast that he hadn't spent a penny of that £5 million that he got as a gift. So does he need it for his protection or doesn't he? And what does he really need protection from? Milkshakes. Come on. He's not really the most attacked politician in this country. I mean, Diane Abbott gets all kinds of racial abuse and death threats all the time. So, and I'm sure other MPs get a lot more abuse than Nigel Farage does. So I think something tells me he's exaggerating when he says he's the most attacked politician in this country. And I also think that these questions about this so-called gift of £5 million aren't going to go anywhere anytime soon. And it's inevitable that he's going to have to step down. And this could really endanger Reform's chances of being elected in the general election. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, moving on. Oh, it's so warm. And talking of receiving donations from Christopher Harborne, Boris Johnson, it seems that Boris Johnson has been receiving donations from this man as well. So let's take a closer look. This next story is from The Nerve. As Farage is investigated, did Boris Johnson also fail to disclose a gift from Christopher Harborne? Leaked documents appear to reveal a previously undeclared trip made by the former Prime Minister with the crypto and defense billionaire to the heart of war-torn Ukraine, report by Carol Cadwallader and Charlie Young. Boris Johnson seemingly failed to disclose 2 flights aboard a private jet provided by crypto billionaire Christopher Harborne, the same political donor whose gift of £5 million to Nigel Farage is now the subject of a parliamentary inquiry The Nerve can reveal. The Nerve has seen leaked documents from Boris Johnson's private office that appear to show Harborne providing his $50 million private jet and pilot to Johnson for his personal use after he stepped down as Prime Minister. At the time, January 2023, Johnson was still the MP for Uxbridge, but there is no record of the flights in disclosures made in the register of members' interests, which I'm pretty sure is against the rules. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to disclose these things in the register of members' interests. Under parliamentary rules, All gifts, including travel and other expenses, must be disclosed. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. The new revelations put Boris Johnson in the frame for having potentially broken the same parliamentary rules as Farage, with a gift from the same donor. Yeah, this is dodgy as fuck. Neither he nor Harborne responded to questions from the Nerve, but Clive Lewis, Labour MP for Norwich South, and a former infantry officer who served in Afghanistan, said Harborne's relationship with both Farage and Johnson, including their financial ties, now had to be investigated as a matter of national security. There's a rat here and it stinks, he said. Yeah, he's right, it does stink. The flights in question date from January 2023, when the documents seen by the Nerve show Johnson flying to Poland as part of an onward trip to Ukraine to meet President Volodymyr Zelensky. Johnson should have declared all costs of the trip not borne by himself, but his schedule shows him flying on board Harborne's Dassault Falcon jet, flown by the billionaire's private pilot. In fact, none of the expenses from this trip were declared, including any provided by the Ukrainian government. The documents note that Johnson would be transferred from the UK state security to Ukraine's upon boarding the sleeper train from Przemysl in Poland to Kiev. The article goes on, and according to the documents, Johnson travelled with the man who had become his personal patron, Harborne. He not only provided the use of his jet to fly Johnson to Rzeszów in Poland, but the schedule reveals Johnson transferring to the overnight sleeper to Kiev with CH. At the time, Harborne was the largest individual investor in Quintiq, a UK military technology company. Although Harborne's fortune derives in large part from his stake in the cryptocurrency issuer Tether, his investment in Quintiq and its connection to his relationship with Johnson has so far gone under the radar. Harborne began investing in the firm in early 2022. At the same time, he became friendly with Johnson, a relationship which took off when Harborne began donating significant sums to the Conservative Party. So Harborne has not only donated to Farage, he's also donated to the Conservative Party as well. And in my opinion, this all needs to be investigated. It needs to be investigated just how much money has been donated by Harborne to both Reform and the Conservative Party, and how much of it has gone undeclared. Because this is dodgy as fuck. Quintiq, Britain's most advanced military testing lab, won new multi-million-pound contracts with the Ministry of Defence throughout 2022 as part of UK's efforts to support Ukraine. It is the only defence stock that Harborne has significant holding in. According to publicly available records, this just gets worse and worse. So he donated money to the Conservative Party, and they gave a company that he has shares in, Quintiq, contracts multi-million-pound contracts. That is really dodgy. That's corruption. That is corrupt. The Invisible Man. The Nerve has examined the reporting of the trip, official video and photographs released by Zelensky's office, and articles in the international press, including Johnson's own account in the Daily Mail, and has found no mention of Harborne or photographs of Harborne on the trip. Neither Johnson or Harborne would answer the Nerve's questions about the political donor and defence investor was on the trip, whether it was related to his holding in Quintiq, or why Johnson failed to disclose the use of his private jet to Parliament, especially given he had previously declared the £1 million gift from Harborne. It also raises the question whether Boris Johnson failed to disclose specific other personal gifts from Harborne or other individuals. Yeah, exactly. This needs to be investigated. Harborne, through his lawyers, Shillings, threatened defamation proceedings against the Nerve, but would not identify any defamatory statements or erroneous information in the evidence we supplied. He has previously filed a defamation claim against the Wall Street Journal for its reporting on his ownership of Tether, and in the UK against Ben Habib, the former deputy leader of Reform. Habib's claim relates to his allegations that Harborne paid both Farage and Johnson to strike a deal in the 2019 general election, to stand down the Brexit Party's candidates. The Nerve has conducted its own investigation into that claim. Yeah, that's dodgy as fuck as well, if true. Unbelievable. The amount of corruption. Jesus Christ. Another trip that Johnson and Harborne took to Kiev is already public. A previous report in The Guardian revealed Johnson and Harborne travelled to Ukraine together in September 2023, but that trip was after Johnson had stepped down as an MP, when he was no longer bound by parliamentary rules. The new details uncovered by the Nerve are in the set of 1,820 leaked documents from Johnson's private office known as the Boris Files, first published by the website Distributed Denial of Secrets, but previously overlooked and underreported. Yeah, this is really interesting. Really interesting. This is dodgy. This is really dodgy stuff. Really corrupt. There's a lot of corruption going on here, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Right. What next? Okay. Okay. This is really interesting as well. This is from Novara Media. Burnham's new economics advisor oversaw illegal sacking of staff member. Andy Haldane fought against employees trying to unionize at the Royal Society of Arts by Simon Childs. Andy Burnham's new economics advisor oversaw an illegal sacking and an incident where police were called on his own staff, according to a trade union. The Independent Workers of Great Britain, IWGB, union, said Andy Haldane should not be anywhere near a government that claims to stand for working people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. Last week, it was reported that Burnham was receiving advice from some top economists ahead of his Labour leadership run, including Haldane, a former Bank of England chief economist. Haldane was the chief executive of the Royal Society of Arts from 2021 to 2025, where he oversaw a period of unrest, with staff taking strike action for the first time in the charity's 270-year history after management refused to recognise their trade union. Burnham's appointment of the new economic advisors is seen as an attempt to bolster his fiscal credibility. However, Haldane's former staff have expressed concerns that his inclusion points in the opposite direction of a leadership that can bring people together. A statement from the IWGB Charity Workers Branch, seen by Novara Media, said, "At a time when millions feel excluded from political decision-making, the country needs leaders who can listen, build trust, and bring people together." Andy Haldane's record points in the opposite direction. It reflects a style of leadership that concentrates power, disregards collective voices, and deepens division rather than overcoming it. As Andy Burnham puts together a team to run this country, he must ask himself whether Haldane is someone who belongs anywhere near power in a government that claims to stand for working people. As chief economist at the Bank of England, Haldane argued that declining union membership and divide and rule tactics had left workers less able to bargain for fair pay. As CEO of the RSA, he employed precisely those tactics against his own staff. Yeah, it's not a good look, is it? On one occasion, the RSA even phoned the Met Police on its own employees as they protested peacefully outside the building. The union said, adding, "Industrial relations improved significantly at the RSA after Haldane's retirement and departure from the organisation in 2025. This guy sounds lovely. What a really nice individual he sounds. Kirby Fullerton, former Senior Fellowship Development Manager at the RSA and a union rep, told Novara Media, when Haldane joined the RSA, he immediately escalated things and took a combative, patronising attitude towards our efforts to unionize. He dug his heels in and refused to engage in meaningful dialogue with his workforce. I often referred to him as the Wizard of Oz, using his credentials and clout to say all the right things publicly. But behind closed doors, it was a very different story. Or behind the curtain, perhaps. The level of intimidation and anti-union sentiment I felt from Haldane and his management team made me genuinely fearful of losing my job, despite trade union protections. I was not alone in this. RSA workers, their mental health and wages suffered under his leadership. That was the culture he, as chief executive, was responsible for setting. If Labour wants to signal change and build trust, Haldane has no place in this government. In 2023, an employment tribunal found that RSA had broken the law by unfairly dismissing Ruth Hannon, head of policy and participation, for speaking out of the way the staff were treated. The RSA said it was disappointed and surprised by the decision, adding the IWGB continues to use this case as an example of RSA wrongdoing, which we feel to be vexatious and unjust. Hannon told Novara Media, after my experience of both campaigning for RSA staff to unionize and to be sacked as a result, it was clear to me that what Andy Haldane says in public is not what he exacts in practice. Andy Burnham strikes me as a man with strong values. This is not how I would describe Andy Haldane after my experience. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not a good look, and it doesn't bode well for Andy Burnham's future leadership of the Labour Party and also as Prime Minister. It doesn't bode well at all, in my opinion. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. It just isn't good. The optics are terrible. In December 2023, RSA hosted an event by UKIB, the UK Israeli Chamber of Commerce, which included a video call from Israel's President Isaac Herzog, who has been accused by a UN commission of inquiry of inciting genocide. Some staff walked out during their lunch break to join a demonstration against the event. Yeah, this gets worse and worse. It felt clear to staff that under Haldane's leadership, dissent of any kind was something to be managed and suppressed, not engaged with or taken on board. Staff who walked out of the building in protest were singled out for one-on-ones and reported feeling intimidated by him, the IWGB said. In 2023, staff at the RSA took strike action for the first time in the charity's history. Many RSA fellows voiced their concern, and some left the organization. Public figures including Yanis Varoufakis, George Monbiot, and Chris Packham withdrew from events in solidarity with striking staff. The dispute was all the more controversial given the RSA's progressive aims. Its website says, "We've never stopped asking how we can build a world that works better for everyone." The staff eventually won statutory recognition for the IWGB with the backing of 85% of the workers involved. Andy Haldane has been approached for comment. This is certainly not a good look. It's not a good look at all. Andy Burnham taking on Andy Haldane as an advisor. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't bode well for his leadership. It doesn't bode well if he becomes Prime Minister. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Whew. Let's see, what have we got next? I don't think we're going to do that one. I think we'll have to leave that one as well. And okay. Just one more story and then I think I'll call it a night. Excuse me. This is from The Poke. Donald Trump's triumphant arch at his 250th White House celebration looked bad enough from afar, but up close plumbed hilarious new depths. And there's a photograph of it at the top there. Yeah, I mean, it does look bad, but let's see if we can take a closer look. It doesn't take a stretch of the imagination to call Donald Trump tacky, so it's no surprise that the kickoff weekend of his 16-day celebration of America's 250th anniversary got off to a rocky start. For starters, just about nobody showed up. That was embarrassing enough. But the people who were on the grounds came back with pretty damaging receipts, the most damning of which offered our first looks at the triumphal arch the president is proposing. Kathy Young said, "That's the arch? Looks like a set from a community theatre production of a play set in either Paris or ancient Rome." Here's a closer look at the staples holding everything together. Anarchy Princess said, "Guys, these buildings at the Great American State Fair are just covered in printed sheets that are literally stapled on." God, that is awful.
Staples.
Oh, God.
I don't want to touch it because you know how they feel about touching things around here.
That is shit. God, that is that is so shit. That is rubbish.
Quality craftsmanship. American work.
That is shit. You can literally see the staples. You can literally see the folds in the sheets. That is horrid. That is really horrid. That is rubbish. Pathetic. At least it's not a house of cards. That being said, they couldn't even glue the paper on flat. Anarchy Princess went on to say, "The Golden Arch is their pride and joy, but look at it up close." Yeah, that is rubbish. Look at it. God, that is bad. God, that is gross. That is really shoddy workmanship. Jesus Christ. It didn't take an architect to criticize the arch. In fact, all it took was a Twitter account. Health Ranger said this: Trump's stupid arch looks like it was put together with duct tape. It's the perfect representation of a failing empire and a failing presidency based entirely on theatre without substance. It's all about appearances, but the facade is fake and backed with nothing real. And we've got some more footage here from DD Geopolitics. Or have we? Hang on. Yeah. God, that is really rough. God, that is awful. Gordon Bennett. God, that's really bad. Jesus. You can see the folds in the sheeting again. Christ. God, it's already flaking off. Look. Oh, that is really bad. That is really bad. They're the Cowboys in. Christ. That is awful. The artist known as Chess said, "This has to be a joke. I have seen high school art projects executed with more skill. Who got paid 14 million for this trash?" Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Judy Morris said, "Everything Donald Trump does is tacky, repulsive, and disgusting." Yeah, that's true. So true. John Titor, the third rail, simply said, "We're cooked." Yeah, exactly. Eric Lentz said, "It was those damn Antifa commanders again." Brilliant. Dom said, "Tight-ass Trump strikes again. The quality of that art exemplifies the quality of his leadership. The clowning chief has built himself another actual circus." Magnus said, "The cheapest bidder for everything so he could pocket the rest." Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was true. Roning said, "This is the shit people go to jail for in third world countries. Pocket public money and build a piss-poor structure that may collapse at any point." Sloped Roof said, "Trump's golden era, plastic stapled to plywood." Yeah, exactly. T-Rex simply said, "End of the empire." El Guapo said, "I'd love nothing more than for it to blow over from a wind gust overnight." Yeah. Miss Andrews Pixie Nightmare Fuel, great name, says, "Looks like the IKEA version of the Washington Square arch." Yeah, exactly. Jim Stewartson said, "I see Stonehenge from Spinal Tap." If you know, you know. And Rusted Metal Petal said, "Oh, he's definitely going to say it's been vandalized by radical leftist scum in 4, 3, 2, just wait." Yeah. And in my opinion, this rubbish arch that Trump has put up is a metaphor for a failing empire and a failing president. But let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments. Okay, we made it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. And if you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. Okay, bye for now.